fellow Misties. Okay, we're excited. Mystery Science Theater 3000 is coming back, finally, to Netflix this April 14th with a new cast of characters in front of the camera. We have Jonah Ray as the new host. We have new mad scientists, played by Felicia Day and Patton Oswalt, with writers of the old show behind the scenes, like, Joel is involved, and we'll probably be seeing some familiar faces pop in and out during the series run. I am super excited. Lindsay's excited. Yeah, we haven't totally been without Mystery Science Theater. It's been on DVD. It's on the internet. There's Riff Tracks, Cinematic Titanic, and a whole slew of people who have been kind of filling in the void since then. But to be honest, there's nothing like the original, and it's super great to have it back. With that said, there's been no mention of what films they're going to be making fun of. So we thought we'd put our heads together and make a wish list of films we most want to see on this new Mystery Science Theater 3000. So, shall we begin? Number 10. Monster on Campus. Okay, sure. At first glance, it sounds like the typical dumb scientist turns himself into a monster movie, but when you really start listening to the names in this film, you kind of think you've seen something like this before, because it's about a campus professor named Dr. Donald Blake experimenting with gamma rays, and it starts turning him into a monster. Which makes me wonder, did Stan and Jack happen to see this movie before they created the entire Marvel Universe? It's definitely a good way to make fun of Marvel and classic horror movie tropes at the same time. It's also really dumb. People see the monster in a plaid shirt and then 5 seconds later see him in the same plaid shirt and not even make the connection that, oh, this probably could have been the guy experimenting with gamma rays. Number 9. It's Gymkata. What? And, okay, this movie was clearly on the minds of the writers of Mystery Science Theater during the original days, especially during the Frank Conniff days, because almost every time someone gets into a fight on the original show, somebody yells Gymkata. What is Gymkata? What could that be? It was an 80s action movie that was meant to be a star vehicle for this gymnast, whoever the hell he was. It was meant to create a career for him. And it takes him as a gymnast fighter guy and puts him on a mission in some fake European, Middle Eastern, Chinese country, wherever the hell that is, on some game thing that's kind of like the Hunger Games or something like that. Except ridiculous. Yeah, it's a silly film. It's very extremely 80s. Matter of fact, I felt my hair getting bigger when I watched it for the first time. Number 8 is Attack of the Puppet People. Bird-Eye Gordon, as you may remember, has done a few films that's been on Mystery Science Theater 3000, and he normally associates himself with giant things, like giant spiders, giant people, giant grasshoppers. Well, this film, he decided to really explore his artistry and go for something really different out of the box by making a movie about shrinking people. And it's actually, to be honest, not that bad. You could watch this film unripped and still enjoy it, but it is still Bird-Eye Gordon, and there's also a recognizable cast of actors. It has the girl from Tormented, it has Paula from The Violent Years, it stars June Kenny from Bloodlust, and John Agar from countless MST3K films. This should be a lot of fun. Number 7 is Gamera, Super Monster. This is actually the last in the original series of Gamera films, and it's not that great. It features stock footage of other Gamera films, annoying children, superheroes, and very blatant Star Wars ripoffs. Yeah, it was designed to be in this show. It has to be done. Now, number 6. Star Crash. Speaking of Star Wars ripoffs, here's a fun fact. 99% of the films and TV shows made for the last 3 years of the 1970s was Star Wars ripoffs. They were everywhere, and 99% of them didn't understand why Star Wars was successful. Including Star Crash. It is a fun, cheesy Star Wars ripoff that's kind of been forgotten with time. And it stars David Hasselhoff and Christopher Plummer picking up a paycheck. This has to be seen. Number 5 is Enter the Ninja. A number of go-to 80s B-movie tropes are featured on this list, and ninjas is one of them. Enter the Ninja is kind of that classic time-honored Hollywood tradition of taking a white person and putting him in something that's supposed to be for Japanese people. A tradition that has been carried on to this day. And also features one of my all-time favorite death scenes of a villain. Number 4 is Amityville 4. Okay, the great actress Patty Duke versus an evil lamp. The end. That's the movie. And it is seriously the Family Guy sketch about Stephen King done as a serious film. It has to be seen to believe. The film just has no sense of irony. Number 3 is Night of the Lepus. This is also another film that was clearly on the minds of the Mystery Science Theater writers when they mentioned it a couple of times. It's about giant bunny rabbits that eat people. And it's serious. It's not even trying to be funny at all. I'm not even sure if there is an intentional joke in the movie at all. And it stars Janet Leigh and DeForest Kelley. You may remember them from Good Things. And boy, is this movie very, very 70s. Also, it even has DeForest in a mustache. The effects are kind of laughable because it has real bunnies, like attacking people and roaring. This is a Mystery Science Theater film. And number 2, The Giant Claw. The Giant Claw was actually already made famous by the video game nerd, talking about giant monsters. And it hasn't yet reached the Troll 2 famousness, but oh boy, this is great. It's a 50s black and white horror movie featuring a puppet bird as a giant monster that's supposed to be scary but is kind of ridiculous. It's very Cocoa Puffs bird, if that makes any sense. This is definitely a good, solid Mystery Science Theater film. Now, number 1, what could that be? Now that we've thought about it, we have decided that our choice for the number 1 film to go on Mystery Science Theater is Killdozer. Now, Killdozer, like Night of the Lepus and Gymkata, is obviously a film that the writers would riff on and talk about, even though they couldn't get the rights to it. This was actually a 70s TV horror movie that was kind of popular. It was well received and had ratings, and even had a Marvel comic book adaptation of it. And it stars Robert Urich in a very small role as the first guy who gets killed. And what it's about an alien that possesses a bulldozer and turns it into a killer. Yeah, that's about as dumb as it sounds. And this film doesn't think that. It actually plays it straight, much like Amityville 4 and the Giant Bunny movie. It just goes for it. And I always think that the best riff movies are the ones that takes themselves seriously, and this, I think, beats all others on that prospect. Maybe the Bunny movie is pretty silly too, which is why it's high up on the list. But those are the films that we want to see most on the new Mystery Science Theater 3000. What do you, the viewers at home, what do you think you'd like to see on the new show? Leave a comment below and we'll talk about it, and we'll talk more about this new version of Mystery Science Theater as the show comes out. Until then, push the button, Lindsay.
Really, no mice.